To facilitate smooth holiday travel for the citizens, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has granted approval for a 50% reduction in interstate transport fares and free train rides for Nigerians traveling between December 21st to January the 4th. Dele Alake, chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Presidential Intervention, disclosed this announcement in Abuja. The federal government, in collaboration with the Ministry of Transportation, will coordinate efforts with transporters, road transport unions, and the Nigerian Railway Corporation to ensure the successful implementation of the special presidential initiative.
In the spirit of Christmas and the end of year festivities, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, in another demonstration of his love for Nigerians, has approved that the federal government should intervene to bring down the cost of public transportation to allow our compatriots who want to travel to visit their loved ones and hometown to do so without stress and the extra burden imposed by the high cost of transport around this period. President Tinubu wants Nigerians to be able to travel within Nigeria to wherever they want to go to meet their loved ones without the extra burden of paying exorbitantly for interstate public transportation. It is in this wise that the President is announcing through us that beginning from tomorrow, that's the 21st of December, Nigerians willing to travel can board public transport via minibuses, luxury buses at 50% discount of current cost, and all our train services on the routes the trains currently serve at zero cost to and fro on their travels this holiday season. This special presidential intervention will commence tomorrow, Thursday, December 21, and it will end on January 4, 2024. The federal government, through the Ministry of Transportation, will be working with transporters, road transport unions, the Nigerian Railway Corporation to seamlessly deliver on this special presidential initiative.
Joining me now to discuss this latest is Dumebi Newretta Oluwole. She's an economic analyst at Stears. Good morning. Thanks for coming. This is all across the transport system, with the exception of air travel, by the way. So yes. Road and rail. What do you make of it as Stears?
I think it's one interesting development from the presidency at this time.
But were you surprised?
To an extent, yes. Simply because we've heard, the president and also the CBN as well come up to say that they will try to make sure that there are, sustainable conditional cash transfers to the masses due to the reforms that have taken place. But I would say we didn't expect to see this now, simply because there was no, I would say, pre-information, nothing prepared anyone for this. Yes, there was, some announcement to say, okay, there was going to be, I think in the 2023 supplementary budget, there was funds earmarked for conditional cash transfers. Yes, but it wasn't specifically said, okay, this was going to be on the transportation sector or
that
for
was
food.
Cash.
Yes, it was supposed to be cash. So doing this now,
7,000.
yes, and the 5,000 thing already happens. It happens annually, significantly towards the northern states of the country, because that's where we have a lot of Nigeria's poor and vulnerable people. Yes, so I think that this is an interesting thing, for the presidency to do now. The expectation or an immediate effect for this is if it does trickle down to an actual reduction in transportation fares for people. That's and a typical example would be if you're moving from Berger to the island and you normally would spend 2,000 naira. If it reduces to 1,000 naira from today up until January 4, and people are aware, the news would definitely spread far and wide, and we'll see an increase in demand for transportation. And one reason why this is especially significant is because road transport, just like the presidency rightly said, passenger traffic and freight traffic, road transport is actually actually contributes about 90% of that. So you don't find most people using air travel or even the trains. For the reduction or the complete, removal of the fares for trains, I think that's also very interesting. It's just trying to get more people to make use of the available train systems that we have. It's an interesting thing because we've also seen demand for that actually pick up since people knew that these trains are actually functional. But I would say when it comes to travel right now, considering how consumer wallets are squeezed, it's still termed as a luxury.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so either road or rail,
tickets right now,
it's luxury.
Very close family.
Yes.
Travel within the country over the last 1 week, within the last 7-8 days, and I can tell you the volume of people that are traveling by road is unbelievable.
Yes.
Again, because if you look at air tickets, you're talking about between Lagos, Akure, for example, you're talking about 210,000 one-way ticket. And if you're going to do to a return, that's 410. For just a husband and wife, that's about 800,000.
Yes.
If you got 2 kids, you're looking at 1.6 million.
And you're not traveling across
across
the Atlantic Ocean.
It's just amazing. So folks are back on the roads, as it were, right now. So the roads will be very busy this year. So 50% of that looks like something on the table for ordinary Nigerians.
Yes, it is definitely a welcome development. Yes, it is welcome.
Palliative. So this is a huge population. They were talking about air travel was excluded. The president says, yes, folks like you and I can afford 210,000 tickets. But again, it's still a whole lot of money on the table if you look at it. And I've been out of Lagos over the last 1 week, and the number of folks also at the airports are amazing. The folks are just traveling. So I'm thinking, what do you make of that? Do you think the air travel industry needs some interventions in terms of cash? If it's 200,000, I don't mind 50% of that.
No,
I don't want to brag prop to the government, but if you can do me 110,000 out of 210, I'll say thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it from the aspect of the caliber of individuals or Nigeria's consumer class and the kinds of people that actually make use of air travel, it does kind of make sense why the government would say, you know what, let's exclude this class of it. You can actually, if you want to stay home, please stay home. But if you want to travel, you use what you can. But then just trying to, so it does make sense as to why they would do that. Right now, Nigeria's consumer class is split within 2 ends of the spectrum. So it's either you're poor or you're rich. There's certain luxuries that the upper income earners can certainly afford that a lower income earner cannot. And if on the upper end of the spectrum, you decide to say, okay, instead of traveling twice this December period, I will travel once. The lower income earner doesn't have that luxury to make such a preference in their consumer basket. So it's either they eat or they don't. So right now, their consumer basket is for survival. Travel is luxury. So while you're trying to move around your consumer basket to say, okay, maybe I'll travel once, not twice. What do I move? Exactly. You can still eat. You can still afford, the basic necessities, but the poor man cannot. So that's one of the reasons why. And the interesting thing is, this would likely not only be for interstate, actually. So we might see this somewhat trickle down into moving within Lagos State. So it is definitely music to the ears of anyone that is moving around. I mean, Uber fares right now are ridiculous. So if people are deciding to, make use of the public transport fares, it will make sense that the prices are, somewhat reduced. So again, transport fares are almost sticky downwards, just like food prices. So except if people actually see this trickle down to, I'm going to beggar from Ogba, and it is reduced, and it actually reduces. I don't think it would really move a muscle in terms of how people respond to it. But if it does trickle down,
that's nice. But I'm not traveling.
But I'm not exactly.
So what is my 50%?
Exactly.
From Stears. Do you have Newretta? Do you have my 50%? But this is large population. Yes. 220 million people, and people say, yeah, this is a demographic opportunity. So how do we move this opportunity to promise, to potential, to delivery?
Yeah.
Like China did.
Yeah, so I would start by saying we would split this to answer the question. We'll split from the business perspective and also look at it from the government perspective. So looking at it from the business perspective, I would start off by saying there has always been the illusion that Nigeria's large population equals to a large consumer class. And that unfortunately has been the case for a lot of businesses coming into the country thinking that, oh, you start up a business, you expect to break even at a certain period of time, expecting that, oh, this 200 plus million people will patronize your business. But the truth of the matter is this. Nigeria's consumer class is very thin. The consumer disposable income is very low. Real GDP per capita is extremely low compared to what you find in other emerging markets and other. You understand? So it is a harsh reality. Yes, it is a harsh reality for businesses. Yeah. But the truth be told, that within this thin consumer market class, we've already been able to establish that there is the upper income class that makes up about 80% of the spending that we find. They are just 3 to 10% of Nigeria's consumer class, but the total consumer spending, about 80% of that is resident within this thin consumer class. Then you look at the lower income part, that's where most of the population is. So the question now is, what exactly is your product and which markets are you targeting? Because that would now determine how you function in terms of your product differentiation, in terms of your product targeting, and in terms of your market segmentation. So that's where I would say the potential would lie for businesses, understanding what this consumer class looks like, what their purchase is like, and now creating your product to suit either of the two ends of the spectrum.
If you had to give an advice on subsidy, what would you say? Will there be power, for example? The Prime Minister said we don't want to add more hardship to Nigeria. Do you think our power bill should be reduced? Should we have a 50%? I'm sounding greedy this morning.
Yes, and I completely understand. We all want to have fun this December. Enjoy your lights, enjoy your money, have fun, and before the new year comes in. So it's very understandable why you're asking all of these questions. But should be told again, we are in a very sensitive part as an economy. We've taken up reforms, and for businesses to come in, we need to stick to these reforms. So a decline in power, I wouldn't say the power sector should reduce tariffs or reduce prices, because truth be told that these tariffs have been increasing. We're not just blowing the trumpet, that's actually increasing. So if you would buy if your 10,000 naira would buy you, and this is an example now, maybe 5 kilowatts, you would see that same 10,000 naira will probably buy you 4.5 now. Yes, or less. So the truth is, we have to make sure that these prices are cost reflective to bring in the investment that we need. It's not because Nigeria doesn't have enough power to distribute amongst the country. The problem is our distribution infrastructure is very lean. So that's where we need that lump sum investment to go into. And to be very frank, the money Nigeria needs is outside our borders. We need to be able to attract investors, and that's where I was going to for the second part of this thing.
Just to sum it up, what's your inflation outlook as Stears for Nigeria, inflation 2024? Give me that in 30 seconds. 30
seconds. Inflation is going to keep rising. Yes, sorry.
Unbreak my heart.
Sorry, but then if we actually stick to these reforms, we should see some level of the reforms, begin to unlock productivity, and the only way that would happen is if we actually stick to it in terms of.
You think we'll likely hit 30% between now and January, most likely? We're 28, double 28 right
yes, now. Yes.
You think 30% is not too far?
30% on average for the whole year of 2024. So meaning that it's going to just keep increasing, but it might increase at a slower pace because due to the shocks of the reforms in 2023, base effects would feed into the inflation for 2024. Yes. So while inflation will continue to increase, the rate of increase might be slower compared to 2023.
Oh, give me something to smile about.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a great Thursday.
Thank you
so much. It's great having you here. And regards to everyone at Stears. Thank you.